Hey everybody, and welcome to the Growth Experience Podcast. I am your host, Chris Dye. Our hope is that by listening to this podcast, you realize that you have a gift. And by believing in your gift, you can uncover your purpose and have vision for your life. Whether you're listening in your car, at home, or watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in, and let's go! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Growth Experience Podcast, episode 16. Really excited about today's episode. It's going a direction that I did not anticipate, so we do not have a guest per se today. It's just me, solo dolo pod, but I'm really excited about the content. I hope you find it enjoyable. I wanted to remind everybody that this episode is sponsored by Community Land Title. Just absolutely, I sing their praises every single week. I absolutely love everybody at Community Land Title. They're always ready to go, always ready to answer questions, extremely honest, reliable, and timely, handling whatever you need, from land purchases to residential, commercial, whatever you need, they're available. So if you're a real estate agent, you do not have a title company that you trust, I highly recommend Community Land Title. And if you're a buyer, seller, client, potential buyer, seller, maybe you had, maybe you had a lien on the property at some point and you want to investigate, it's always good to call a reputable title company, and that's exactly what Community Land Title is. I also wanted to thank everybody for following our journey over the last few months. 16 episodes in, that means we've been doing it for 4 months, right? So it's been a journey for me. I absolutely love coming here every single week, even sometimes where it feels like, we're not going to be able to record or things have to change. I always try and think of a way to make it happen, like today. So we're almost to 1,000 views and downloads, which is really, really cool. We're almost there. So if you're watching this, listening, I would love it. It would be a blessing and a gift to me if you were to rate, subscribe, share. Hopefully somebody finds this valuable. And just wanted to say thank you for following along with this journey. Happy Derby week, Oaks Day, for all of my Louisvillians, Kentuckians. And honestly, Derby is where people come from all around the world. It's a really, really cool event, really exciting time for our city. Locals sometimes get a little crazy about it because there's so much traffic and you got to navigate. But overall, I think everybody can agree that it's a great event for our city. And we love seeing people get dressed up in the hats for the ladies and the suits for the guys. And my wife and I, Kelsey, which if you're listening and following the show, you guys know her. We need to have her back on for the Family Matters series this month. But we went to 5-0 Tuesday, which is a newer, I think, local thing, which I didn't know about until recently. We got invited by a friend, and we had a great time. It was really fun watching. There was some unfortunate events with some of the horses, which is terrible, and you hate that. But overall, a great experience, and we just had fun doing it. So I kind of want to go ahead and just dive into the pod now. I did write, typically I don't, but I did today write out my thoughts so that nothing gets misconstrued or miscommunicated, and I can communicate clearly with you about the direction of the podcast in the past as well as in the future, where we're going, and then today's topic as well. So I just wanted to say, I created this podcast with the hope and the dream of it being different than the content that is currently consumable on the market, something real, transparent, relatable. Fortunately, with most of our guests, we've absolutely accomplished that. I'm super thankful for that. We've had some people on the show, and we've had some tears and transparency and, all the things that I was dreaming of when I started this podcast, which is why I'm glad I started it now rather than, a couple years ago. You've heard me talk about that. The timing of this go around, right, is solely for other people and not for myself. And so I'm super thankful for that. Very, very thankful for all the guests we've had up to this point. I look forward to continue seeking transparency in relationships with all of the guests that we have, so that you as a viewer or a listener can find this content helpful, encouraging, and uplifting. That's the whole point of the Growth Experience podcast. So just wanted to take a moment of appreciation and thank all of the people that have been a part of this. High Adventure Studios, if you're looking to start a podcast, they have been just incredible with my nitpicky things, camera angles, all that kind of stuff. And, Will, my partner, business partner, director of operations, has been amazing. All of you viewers and listeners, which I've pointed out, I can't point out enough how much I appreciate you. The show is ultimately for you. So thank you all. Today's going to be a little bit different. I already said that. About a month or so ago, I made a TikTok about hope. And it actually sparked a lot of good private conversation. And with not having a guest today, I felt like I should bring that to the table as the topic of today's episode. And so we'll dive right in. What is hope? Google says that hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. This is important to point out because I feel like culturally we get stuck there, always counting down for this one thing to happen, and when it does, that it will solve all of our problems, right? I have caught myself saying, man, when this happens, we're going to be good. When this happens, I'll be happier. When this happens, right? And I feel like our society has just collectively taken this word hope and used it for these kind of micro events, right? And so, again, I write, oftentimes this one event that we're waiting for is usually pretty obtainable, right? Most of the time, it's not something that we truly have this big dream of achieving. This does come into play, though, and I will get there. But think about it, 99.9% of the time when those things happen, they're more often than not underwhelming. Maybe you hope for a promotion, but realize with the promotion, once you achieve it, that there is more responsibility and tasks. And maybe those new responsibilities don't actually fit into your gifting. You just wanted it because it came with a pay raise. I've been there. Maybe you've been dating someone for a long time and you've hoped for marriage, but once you're married, you realize that two individuals becoming one, there's a lot of difficulties you haven't dealt with before. Finances, living arrangements, schedules, communicating differently, etc. Maybe you're hoping or hoped to have children. You want them, beg God for them, pray earnestly for them, but when they come, your life gets flipped upside down. Anybody else out there like me? Sleep is hard to come by, and it's the first time you've ever put someone in front of yourself. This is a harder topic. I apologize if that one struck a nerve, but we have this show to be real and to be honest. Don't condemn me. My children are an absolute joy and gift from the Lord, but I would be lying if I didn't say there are difficult times where we have to seek guidance and find strength on how to parent them. Putting God first and still have time for ourselves as a couple and as individual people. There are times where we look at the calendar and say, man, it's been a few months since Kelsey and I have had a date night, right? So we call up my in-laws or my mom or, people that live around us. Fortunately, we have a great community, a great tribe that can watch the kids occasionally. But I get how hard that is for a parent. So what do you do when things aren't what you thought they would be? This is where the fun part happens. You make way for the way maker. Give God reign over your life and watch what happens. John Maxwell wrote in the book that I'm reading daily, a daily devotional, you cannot force yourself into a position God does not want you to have, nor will you miss the opportunity to serve where God desires you to be. If something hasn't come to pass, these are my thoughts, this next couple lines here. If something hasn't come to pass that you believe has been planted inside of you, keep hoping, keep dreaming, keep pursuing first the kingdom and his righteousness. And if God has planted those things inside of you, then he will give them to you, right? If you've been following the show at all, I hope you've found it evident that I believe in Jesus. Many of our guests do as well. One of my favorite Bible verses that we have as our defining verse of our nonprofit, Her Hope Kentucky, which I've talked about as well, is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. What does this mean? I believe it means that even when things don't go our way, or when the things we have hoped for don't come to pass, or maybe they have and don't fit the boxes of our expectations, which I talked about earlier, that we can take solace, take comfort in the fact that God knows the plans he has for us and that they are good plans. They're plans to continually give us hope in what truly matters and that he is going to see us through whatever we're dealing with. I believe that hope is aligned with faith. And in Hebrews 1, I wrote it, or I took a picture of it here. I don't have this one memorized, but it's so good, man. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Assurance, right? Maybe you can't see it. It's something that's been planted inside of you, like I said. You see it in your mind, you hope for it, you pray for it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't happen on your timeline. And so I just want to encourage everybody that listens to this episode to continue to hope for these things. Maybe you're not a believer and don't believe in what I believe. I hope that you'll reach out one day and we can talk about it. Until that day, one of my favorite quotes on hope actually comes from a secular movie. Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption. If you haven't seen this movie, number one, watch it like today. It's an incredible movie. And number two, understand that Andy is telling Red that even though they're in prison, they're literally in prison, you can still have hope. This is a shorter episode today. So last thing before I wrap up, there is a gifting and a dream inside every single one of us. I believe that they're divinely placed. There are things that I have hoped for, genuine dreams and visions that I have seen that I've literally cried out about them taking so long to come to fruition, or things I thought I should pursue that ended up failing, that it wasn't on my path to achieve. I believe through it all, though, I continue to have hope that there are good things in store for me, that my latter days will be greater than my former. I'm imploring you to believe that as well. No matter what has happened to you in the past, there are good things ahead of you. You just have to believe in that and continue to have hope. So, like I said, super quick, super to the point episode today. I hope that it's funny how often we use that word, and culturally, it's almost like the word literally. Like you can overuse it and not actually have the proper meaning behind it, the purpose behind it when you use it. But I have hope that this episode will touch you and at least make you think about what we're doing on a daily basis, what we're believing in, what we're hoping for. And earlier I said, a lot of times these things are not unobtainable that we hope for. I want to encourage somebody to believe in something and hope for something that would sound crazy if you said it out loud, right? And maybe there's only one or two people, or maybe you don't have anybody that you can speak to about the things that you feel like keep coming up in your mind, keep coming up in your life, keep presenting themselves in a way that makes you not forget what they are. My wife Kelsey said a couple episodes ago that, I asked her, I think, how do you know that this was from the Lord? And she said, if it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up. I don't believe in coincidence. And so I would implore you to continue to think about, if there's something that just will not leave your mind, that you're destined, you were created for his purpose, which is always good. And so I hope that encourages you. If there's something that, stood out to you or you have questions about, please feel free to reach out on any platform. We always list our platforms at the bottom of the episodes, when either on YouTube or when you listen to them on your favorite podcast app. please reach out. I would love to. This is one of my favorite topics. There's a lot of things that I've hoped for in the past or that I'm hoping for now. And, that's what you just have to continue to do. Just continue to hope for those things and that, God has good plans for your life. Okay. I love you all. God bless. And of course, just like every episode, I have to tell you this, but I'm doing it a little bit different this time. You have a gift. It's time to hope for it.